They told you Medusa was a monster. They just hoped you would never ask why. So before you look away from her face, let me show you the story they buried. Welcome, traveler. This is the Myth Wanderer. I remember the smell of that morning. It smelled of frankincense, warm olive oil, and the salt of the Aegean Sea. I stood behind a column, hidden in the shade, watching. Before the curse, there was gold, Medusa, a mortal priestess of Athena, devoted, disciplined, bright as dawn. I watched her weave the wreaths for the altar. Her hands were gentle. She had no idea that the gods were watching her, not with love, but with hunger. Her hair didn't just shine, it commanded the room. I remember the golden hour. The sun dipped low, painting the marble in silence. It was the kind of peace that makes you forget the gods are watching. Medusa was safe, or so she thought. But the horizon didn't just darken, it broke. The waves rose not to wash the shore, but to swallow it. In Olympus, peace is just a pause before the strike. Beauty isn't a blessing there. It's a battlefield. And then, the true storm arrived. Look at the door. Not the wind, not the rain, the shadow. The trident of the Sea King. He didn't come to pray, he didn't come for love. To Poseidon, she was not a priestess, she was leverage in a divine war older than memory. The temple held its breath. The silence crackled with invisible fire. She ran to the altar. She begged for sanctuary. I've seen many temples fall. Many prayers go unanswered, but this silence was heavy. Poseidon came as a storm that would not be stopped. He didn't care about her tears. He wasn't after Medusa at all. Athena was the target. When he vanished, the temple was in ruins, not the stone, but the spirit. She waited for mercy. I wanted to warn her. I wanted to say, run. But I am just a wanderer. I cannot interfere. Athena came not for comfort, but for judgment. Athena could not punish Poseidon, because gods do not fight wars they might lose. So she punished the only one who couldn't fight back. I watched the transformation. It wasn't instant magic. It was agony. I heard the sound of bones shifting, skin stretching like dry parchment. Her beauty became a sentence. Her face became a warning carved into eternity. Those golden locks, I saw them twist, thicken, and open their own eyes. No man will harm you again, the goddess said, because no man would ever look at her again. A cruel gift, protection at the cost of eternal isolation. I traveled to Poseidon years later. The fog there tastes like rust. Exile is supposed to break a person, but Medusa didn't break. She transformed fully. I walked through her garden. It was a graveyard of ambition. They say she hunted men. But look at their hands, swords, shields, spears. I stood face to face with a stone soldier. I looked closely at his expression. It wasn't the face of a victim being hunted, it was the face of a killer who realized he was outmatched. They crossed the sea to take her head. She didn't hunt them, she survived them. Her curse did the rest. She sat alone on the cliffs, listening to the serpents whisper. I sat beside her for a century, unseen. She never cried, not once. Perseus, sent with a promise, armed with borrowed miracles, a hero shaped by prophecy, not by choice. He did not hate her, he did not know her. That is how the gods prefer their instruments. He didn't defeat a monster, he completed a sentence, one the gods had already begun. Medusa died the way she lived after the curse, alone, surrounded by silence. But silence does not mean forgiveness. And Olympus was not done with her. Athena took the face she had cursed, not to honor it, not to remember her, but to contain her. Because even in death, Medusa was dangerous. Not for her power, but for what her story revealed. A punishment repurposed. A victim refashioned. Not a warning born of justice, but a weapon born of fear. Fixed to the aegis, her gaze no longer belonged to her. It no longer asked questions. It no longer accused. It served the same order that had destroyed her. That is the final cruelty of the gods. They don't just punish you. They decide what your suffering will be used for. And now, centuries later, you wear her image without knowing what it cost. So let me ask you, no myths, no masks. If the world blamed you for a crime you didn't commit, would you beg to be understood, or would you make them look away? Traveler, you saw how gold turned to stone. You saw how silence mistaken for guilt. Some stories are buried where they fall, others follow those who listen. I walk between stories. I read the echoes they try to bury. I am the myth wanderer, until the timelines cross again. Some truths are not judged, they are weighed.